We don't have much on our next new destination, but what we do have gives away a surprising amount of information which we can use to speculate further. I'll start with the possible plot, then touch on its probable culture. Black Swan tells us 3 things about Amphoreus. Archivili never reached it, it's only visible through the light of the mirrors of the Garden of Recollection, and is influenced by 3 paths. Even if the garden simply stole or got around a hypothetical cloaking device, that Black Swan, who only cares about collecting memories, is interested in Amphoreus suggests one of those paths is remembrance, even if that only amounts to memo keepers and snatchers trying to steal whatever they can get their hands on. Second is most likely Enigmata. Both Herta and Sam 3000 believe Mythos is an offshoot of Thule, which incidentally explains why fictionologists can manipulate memoria when it was thought to be a remembrance-only ability. If Amphoreus was hidden with Enigmata powers, it would make sense for remembrance to be the only path capable of exposing it for the same reason. The third path is harder to predict, but I think it comes down to either finality or erudition. Elegy warns Trailblazer that they are close to finality, and with Memory of Chaos and Pure Fiction representing remembrance and Enigmata, Apocalyptic Shadow being based on finality could be another clue to Amphoreus' climate. On the other hand, Mythos seems to have come alive to counter Noose's ability to predict and lock in future moments as explained in the Golden Gear story, and there's some later evidence to suggest erudition is in play as well. Even Herta can't decide whether erudition or finality is a better path to study Enigmata from either, so I'm going to look at this from a meta perspective. Both Belobog and Penacony were associated with one of the 7 playable paths and gave it to the Trailblazer. Through this lens, erudition makes more sense, and erudition Trailblazer would also be a nice change of the 2 supportive back-to-back kits. Now with remembrance focusing on the past, erudition or finality predicting the future, and Enigmata to muddy the waters, all 3 things Black Swan does, funnily enough, I believe Amphoreus' story will be about free will versus determinism, be it because of fate or simply a person's past actions forcing their future ones. This would be a perfect place to see Sam again, but since they were in Penacony, I suspect the Celeron hunters involved this time will be Kafka and Elio. A story like this would be a good way to explore the former's take on this topic after her companion mission, and after hearing Elio in 2.2, I think it's possible we'll see the guy himself sooner than later. Speaking of companion missions, I think 3.0 will give us a sequel to Marches as well. We're heading to a place with possible remembrance ties with a memo keeper who already finds March interesting, even having voice lines about her despite them never properly interacting until 2.3. After all, we know the Garden of Recollection is involved in her amnesia somehow, and Texture of Memories implies a connection between Thule and either her or her color scheme, so maybe her identity won't be something kept back until the endgame as I used to think. Now for the culture. Amphoreus is likely based on ancient Greece with some Roman inspirations. The name is a measurement of liquid, fitting Thule's ice associations, and the achievement for learning about it is a reference to the epic The Odyssey, while the Eternal Land is based on an old name for Rome. The interesting thing is Amphoreus has already been mentioned. In Cosmodesy, Sparkle claims to be the divine mecha that wrote the planet's scripts. This is the other erudition reference I mentioned earlier, and with 2 references to place already, I think it's safe to assume they'll be the key metaphor for the Fate theme, just as dreams were for escapism and Penacony. And with such on-the-nose branding, how could Elio not show up here? As for more mundane stuff, while Amphoreus isn't linked to the Star Rail, it must be connected to the rest of the galaxy for the Garden to know about it. So as cool as it would be if it had its own currency like Genshin's Meripede, it'll probably still use credits. But if they're still mostly a secret, they're probably going to be technologically inferior to the Xianzhou and Penacony, just as Belobog, if not even more outdated given ancient Greek plays may still be in vogue there. So there you have it, a quick breakdown of all we know of Amphoreus and what I hope are agreeable conclusions to draw from it. I wonder if all future locations will be dropped on us out of the blue, or if we'll get a heads up earlier as we did with Penacony, because the suspense is already killing me. Some quick notes before I go. Silverwolf seems to be delegated to the Hunter's tech support, so she'll likely have a minor role as she did under Lofu and Penacony, while Blade is likely waiting for another Xianzhou plot to return to the spotlight. Argenti's aesthetic matches my idea for Amphoreus, so there's a non-zero chance he or another beauty faction member will show up too, but I'm pretty confident the paths I mentioned earlier will be the most important ones. Thank you all for watching, please let me know what you think in the comments, like and subscribe if you want, and as always, have a great day.